So this is my response to the video prompt, the birds. As usual, I do have everything pulled up just to reference on the side. So looking at the first prompt question, why do scientists fear this is just the tip of the iceberg? I had never personally heard of this phrase before. It makes sense now that I looked it up, but the tip of the iceberg is pretty much only a small part that we can see of a larger issue. So we can only see the bird population right now because it's the easiest to monitor using weather data, imagery, and then scientific collections over the past 50-some years. We're not able to track other species populations as easily, so we people can only fathom and wonder and have concerns about the decrease of other species because we're not able to look at them. So, for example, if we can only see birds as the tip of the iceberg, there must be other species that are decreasing and their population is going away even more so than the birds. But we're not able to track that, as I've said. So right now we're pretty much just concerned for what's underneath that iceberg, or what's underneath that tip of the iceberg. You know, if birds are going out at 2.9 billion lost in almost 50 years, then other species have to be going out as well. It can't just be the birds, if that makes sense. Since birds reveal environmental health, and if they're declining, then other parts of the environment must also be declining. And then looking at the second question, of the ways to help, which ones only help birds and which ones would also help other organisms? So for this one, I'm just going to pull up the 7 simple actions. Making windows safer day and night. I don't really know how that would help other species. I don't really know of any other animal or species that flies into windows other than birds. I have personally seen many birds die in front of me from flying into a window. So I think that one's primarily just for the birds. Keeping cats indoors. I personally keep my cat inside. One, so I don't lose him and he doesn't get hit by a car or something, but also for the fact I don't want him killing animals and, you know, being a contributor to the decline of a population. So this one, keeping cats indoors, I think could also help like smaller rodents like ground squirrels and mice. Even butterflies. Cats chase butterflies. Reducing lawn, planting natives. This one would also help bees, certain species of insects and bugs, butterflies, monarchs, a lot of animals actually. Avoiding pesticides, that would pretty much save and help every species. Pesticides transfer from birds to raccoons to bears that eat berries that are grown on a farm that are sprayed with pesticides. It would literally help plants, and it would help probably every wildlife species within a region or a given region. Drink coffee, that's good for the birds. Obviously, this one would help forests. I lost my spot. But this one would also help just wildlife within the forests in general, as long as forests aren't decaying. I suppose other species wouldn't be, or maybe not as quickly. Protecting our planet from plastics. This one has been a big one in probably the last year that's been discussed, even politically, preventing so much plastic from going into the environment and polluting the oceans would save not just birds, it would save whales, it would save, I'm trying to think of all the animals in the ocean, fish, different types of plants in the ocean, turtles, most specifically. You know, there's a whole Save the Turtles promotion, I want to say, going around right now, due to turtles winding up with a lot of plastic, or a turtle ending up with a plastic straw up his nose. And then watching birds. I mean, we can watch other species too. I mean, right here it says watching birds specifically, but it is possible to watch other animals. It's hard, yes, I agree, but it is definitely possible. For example, up north where I'm originally from, not Superior, an hour south, Spooner, we had a cougar just up the road by the town hall, and people were, no, there's not cougars in this part of Wisconsin, there's not cougars in Wisconsin, or mountain lions, whatever you want to call them, and we're like, yes, there are, we found one, they're definitely moving. The same thing with moose, actually. There are moose, even in Duluth, I think, and people are just like, no, they're not. If you watch species closely enough and you monitor outside your window, especially if you live in the country, you're able to see these things, and you're able to keep track of where they're going, where they're migrating, how many or how few there are. Very important, I think, to everyone who lives in the country. I wouldn't say the city as much because there's not as much wildlife in the city, but overall.